Welcome and thank you for coming to the class of 2021's capstone presentation. We would like to thank our guests for being here today. Thank you, Mr. Summers, Mr. Little, Miss Johnson, Sergeant First Class Vertrees, and Chief Klein. I'd also like to introduce my team that's here with me today. We have two group leaders, which is myself, Abigail Richardson, and Jocelyn Carochi. Our other team members include Tate Rutherford, Andre Hoskins, and Ryan Eason. As a JROTC program, we decided to do a capstone as a big group. For our capstone, we decided we wanted to spread the spirit and legacy of the 10th Mountain Division and use different learning styles and techniques to spread their awareness in our community. Once again, our group members are Jocelyn Carochi, Ryan Eason, Andre Hoskins, myself, and Tate Rutherford. The one big thing that we all have in common is we have all been in JROTC for at least 2 or more years.
Right, so what we identified as a problem in our community that inspired this capstone project was that there's a big influence of the 10th Mountain Division, something that we learned through our different experiences in JROTC. And the 10th Mountain Division has played a big influence in the world as we know it, as far as being Coloradans. And there's very little known about it to the public. So what we were focusing on as our project was how can we spread the spirit and legacy of the 10th Mountain Division and increase their legacy. And the solution we came to for this was by educating and teaching different students through our JROTC program in the history and legacy of the 10th Mountain Division through the use of different learning styles and different techniques. All of us had our own separate interests in the 10th Mountain Division with different experiences we've had, mostly instilled through JROTC programs. Annually, our battalion staff takes a trip to Leadville every year on Memorial Day to help do different ceremonies to honor veterans and World War II veterans of the 10th Mountain Division. I was part of that personally, not this last year, but the year before. And I was able to learn about the 10th Mountain Division, something I really hadn't heard about, and learn about their impact on Colorado, as well as what made them different as a mountain unit. And I was actually able to go rock climbing in the demonstrations, similar to how the 10th Mountain Division trains, and part of what made them unique. So that helped me kind of want to, inspired me to want to teach other kids about their influence as well. Abby actually went with me on that trip also.
So on that trip, what really sparked my interest in the 10th Mountain Division was we were preparing for the color guard ceremony, and some of the 10th Mountain Division members brought over some artifacts and things that they used actually in World War II, and that really sparked my interest. I'm a big history nerd, and that was really cool for me to see those things and actually get to hold them, and I just wanted everybody else to really get that experience. And I believe Andre Hoskins was there as well, so I'm going to turn that over to him.
I was there, and my experience that really got me interested in the 10th Mountain Division during one of our staff rides was honestly just the rock climbing. It was honestly really fun for me to do. It was a really fun activity for us to all get to learn and then actually put to good use as soon as we learned it. It was actually really fun to just get in and go and do it. And here in these photos is the ceremony that was going on that we were there for. When we were helping out the 10th Mountain Division, that goes from color guard to a 21-gun salute to us just saluting the colors and actually going over what happened in the 10th Mountain Division and commemorating those who have given their life for it. And in the bottom left, we actually have one of our mentors actually being the base for one of the cadets that's climbing a mountain. And on the color guard, we have 2 of our members that are currently in the capstone group. On the very far left is myself. And the third one from the left was the color guard commander, Abigail Richardson. Our experience with the 10th Mountain Division that we have is that we have annual staff trips minus last year just because of COVID. And we go down there and we help them out with ceremonies and stuff like that whenever we go down to Leadville. And another experience we have is that our Sergeant First Class Vertrees, which is our Army instructor, is part of the 10th Mountain Division Foundation, which means he has a nice little insider view and some insider knowledge that we all really don't have, and it's a good asset to have him. And our old battalion commander, our current battalion commander, our old battalion operations officer, our Army instructor, and our mentor were all on this terrain walk, and they honestly just got to go walk and learn about some of the knowledge and the history, and it was something really good for us to have background knowledge for.
So there are many different types of pathways that you could actually go through. There is arts, hospitality, education, health, STEAM, and skilled trades and security. JROTC and this capstone falls under skilled trades and security. So our mentors was David Little. He is a part of the 10th Mountain Division, historian. He's a part of the Living Historian group. He will be teaching our classes on the history of the 10th Mountain Division for our cadets. And Major Rich Piltingsrud, our mentor for the second phase of our operation, which was the field application, which was the rock climbing, and rappelling, which showed how the 10th Mountain Division trained and interacted in a different way than other units would have. And some of the background for the 10th Mountain Division was formed in World War II. They trained in Colorado because of the altitude and structures, mountains, stuff like that. Some of the things that they actually learned as skills were mountaineering, Nordic and tactical skiing, rock climbing, rappelling, and mountain and outdoor survival, winter survival, stuff like that. And the courses can, and they are still taught, some of it by the National Guard. It started the skiing industry by opening slopes and has a lasting effect on Colorado today.
The purpose of this project was to really increase the awareness of what the 10th Mountain Division really has done for Colorado, because it's been a really big impact, as we talked about in the last slide, that continues to impact Colorado today through different military practices, such as the trainings done by the National Guard still at Camp Hale, or through the skiing industry that's a major profit and one of the major economical benefits of Colorado today. And we wanted to make sure that other people were aware of that purpose or of that impact. And we designed a project in 3 different phases to teach students through different learning styles that would give them better access to the information, help them retain it. Our first phase was our design and planning phase, in which we researched the 10th Mountain Division. We got in contact with our mentors, Mr. David Little, who's here today, and Major Rich Piltingsrud, and both of them really helped us learn a lot more about the 10th Mountain Division, in which we could conduct our research paper, and from there begin the design of our class that we output for our entire battalion, as well as planning our field day application. Phase 2 was that classroom education, and with that, Mr. David Little created the class, the history class of the 10th Mountain Division, talking about what the 10th Mountain Division was, why they were created, what equipment and things that they use, and how they continue to affect Colorado today. And we presented that class to our battalion. And our phase 3 would be our adventure application or field day application, where we would take the cadets in our battalion and do low-level rock climbing and rappelling demonstrations at Shelf Road. However, this year we were unable to do that due to COVID, yet in our project, this is a project that we hope to see continued on throughout different JROTC programs and for many years. So we hope that the plan that we have laid out can be used and carried on and added to, in which they are able to do that field application to reach those different learning styles of other cadets, so it teaches them in a better way that reaches them. This March, March 6th, myself, at the time the executive officer, our former battalion commander, Jonathan Mallett, our operations officer, Ricky Ann Romero, Sergeant Bertrice, and our mentor, Major Rich Piltingsrud, took a trip to Shelf Road to lay out where we would do the rock climbing and rappelling demonstrations. And here's a video of that terrain rock.
Hello, I'm Cadet Major Jocelyn Croce. I'm the Battalion XO. Today we're out here at the Shelf Road rock climbing and recreation area, as you can see behind us. And this is where we're going to have our Spirit and Legacy of the 10th Mountain Division Capstone project be taking place. I'm joined here today by
I'm Battalion S3 Operation Officer, Cadet Captain Ricky-Ann Romero.
And I'm Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Mallett. I'm the battalion commander of our ROTC program. We got our mentor right here.
Hi, I'm Major Rich Piltings. I'm with the Colorado Army National Guard, and I'm the mentor, one of the mentors for this project.
So where we are at right now, this is the Sand Gulch Campground. This is going to be the initial spot where cadets are going to be dropped off, and we're going to gather here on the 22nd of April to then start working that way to do different instruction and then begin the rock climbing and rappelling demonstrations.
So that was our initial plan, and due to COVID, we had to postpone the climbing. However, that plan still stays in place.
Okay, so what we have here is a larger overview of the Shelf Road area, right? Very popular climbing area, world-class climbing here. Canyon City is down here, Cripple Creek Victor up here, Royal Gorge and all that would be over here, right? You guys came up right Canyon Road, ended up in Sand Gulch. There's several different ways you can drive in, but you guys are right here at Sand Gulch, and that blown up better right here. So again, you came from Canyon City, drove up here, got on the off the hardball, and this is that loop behind you right here. Is that lollipop right there? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna spend most of our time at Freeform Wall, and then we're also gonna come back down the creek here, just so you get a better idea of the terrain that's around.
Here's some more pictures of that. So you can see us talking with Major Piltings through there, as well as in the bottom left corner here is one of the trails cadets would walk to get to the mountaineering stations at which we would be performing our demonstrations. And then in the top left here, that's a picture of Contest Wall, one of the climbing walls at Shelf Road. So we demonstrated different types of knowledge throughout this project, and we're able to apply our core knowledge classes into the project in several different ways. So Tate's gonna go over the ELA.
It's on knowledge right now. Is yours on knowledge? All right, there we go. Cool. All right, so understanding the ELA. So the things that we had to do is English language arts. We had to fill out and make sure everybody had the required papers for the capstone project. Emails to mentors, and then we put together a group contract so that everybody will and can do their part. The artifacts and evidence regarding ELA. On the left, we have a video script of the grant that we use, and West. All right, the operation order, this was the overall planning, and this basically goes through all the phases. The main things that we focused on, number one was the safety plan. We made sure that we had first aid. We made sure that we had a kit on site for the rock climbing. Number 2, logistics plan. How many cadets were going? Number 3, concept of operation plan. We used a who, what, where, when. So who was cadets in battalion that were active. What was the rock climbing and rappelling field day. Where was Shelf Road. And when was April 22nd of 2020, but it got canceled because of COVID.
So the understanding of mathematics. So we had to make sense and persevere through lots of different problems especially during a pandemic right now, which included a lot of meeting virtually and different things like that. The models were met by calculating the funds we needed to create grants and get gear distributed to cadets correctly. That way, we made sure we had enough for everyone. And then we had to make sure that a precision was correct. That way, everyone was safe with what we were doing, and that no one was really at risk for anything. So this is some evidence of our budget that we used for our grant. So as you can see, all the numbers right there was a little bit less than $700, but we did ask for $700 in our grant. And the reason that we asked for just a little bit more was just in case prices changed or something else minor came up, that we would still have a little bit of wiggle room and we'd still be able to come out on top and be able to proceed.
All right, through our capstone, we also demonstrated all 6 traits. The ones we're focusing on today are going to be innovation and then also civility. As far as innovation was concerned, we had to be very adaptive in the different obstacles that were thrown in our path for this project. It was a very high-risk project, and there were a lot of moving parts. And as with any project, one of the biggest obstacles to tackle is always going to be funding. We actually asked for a grant through the 10th Mountain Division Foundation in a very innovative way in asking in a formal video.
Good morning. I'm Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Sawyer Harris. I am the battalion commander of the Canyon City High School Tiger Battalion. In the early part of this year, my staff and I went to Leadville to learn about the 10th Mountain Division and conduct an honor guard. I was on the honor guard and shot an M1903 Springfield Armory rifle in a squad of men and women that also shot rifles that shot 3 rounds in remembrance of those that have given their lives in the 10th Mountain Division. Throughout the course of this year, our staff will be conducting an operation to increase awareness and the history and legacy of the 10th Mountain Division in our community, starting with our battalion. To accomplish this, we as a staff have been planning and working towards 3 separate phases of this operation.
Good morning. I'm Cadet Major Jocelyn Karoshi in the Battalion S3. The phases are broken down into Phase 1, Planning, Phase 2, Classroom Education, and Phase 3, Adventure and Field Application. Currently, we are deep into the first phase and are detailing and solidifying the following phases. Phase 2 will be completed and conducted this April and will entail a presentation given by David Little and the 10th Mountain Divisions Association Living History Group. In this presentation, the cadets in our battalion will learn about the history of the 10th Mountain Division and will be made aware of the impact relevant to our community. This will be promptly followed by Phase 3, in which the 1st Battalion 157th Infantry of the Army National Guard will join cadets and conduct low-level interactive rappelling and rock climbing demonstrations with the cadets. During the trip we took earlier this year, the staff did rock climbing similar to what the rest of the battalion will do this April. The staff did this at Camp Hale Recreational and Sport Climbing Area, and our battalion will be doing this at the Shelf Road Recreational Climbing Area just north of Canyon City. I personally had a great time with the climbing demonstrations and anticipate that the rest of the battalion will as well. I know that for me, practicing climbing and learning about Nordic skiing was a major draw to my interest in the division, I felt as though the unique history of the soldiers practicing in the treacherous and harsh terrain around Colorado was something relevant to me and will be relevant to the battalion as well.
Hello, I am Cadet Major William Pushchuk. I am the Executive Officer of the Canyon City High School Tiger Battalion. While the planning and execution of these phases should and will go smoothly, we are still in need of some assistance in making this operation a feasible accomplishment. In order to take all the cadets, we need to make sure that we can provide the necessary materials to accomplish this. We are asking the Foundation for a grant of $750. This will cover the cost of lunches for the cadets on the day trip. This trip is fundamental to engaging the students and making the history and legacy of the 10th Mountain Division that much more impactful and memorable.
Thank you for your time.
So upon submitting this video to the 10th Mountain Division Foundation, we did receive the grant. So that was one way that our innovation paid off. We also had to be very innovative in our conduct of the entire project and had to adapt to different changes of command. We actually switched battalion commanders 3 times and had several other staff changes throughout that, which all impacted who was actually being those points of contact and who was leading these projects. We've also had to adapt through the pandemic, as most all projects have this year. And we actually had to suspend our phase 3, and we had to move and postpone our phase 2 of the classroom education several different times, and it actually was moved to a virtual presentation instead of a live in-class presentation as well. And with that too, our coordination with our mentors was also impacted. One of the other traits we'd like to highlight today is civility.
So for civility, a lot of the things that we learned about civility was definitely working with people in a lot of different age groups and also different communication styles. It was a lot of coordination with mentors, and like especially when we requested our grant, we only knew one person on the foundation, and that would be Sergeant First Class Vertrees. And so we were proposing something to a group of people that we had no idea who they were. So we definitely had to put our best foot forward and really learn how to best connect to people that we don't even know. So that really helped us there. And then we also had to work really hard on creating a class that everyone would enjoy. So something that would help visual learners, but people who are also hands-on learners. Everyone would learn from it. And I feel like by doing both sides, by doing an in-class presentation and the field day, we really were trying to pull on both sides of that and make sure that everybody learned.
Our call to action was really based out of our experience and our understanding of how impactful the 10th Mountain Division really was, and the need for that to be expressed throughout the rest of the community. Something that has this large of an impact on our entire state is something that we saw the rest of the state should know about and be able to honor and acknowledge. We felt that it was our duty to help push this idea to increase the amount of people and the accessibility of the information of the 10th Mountain Division, so that way those veterans and their efforts wouldn't go unknown and wouldn't go unnoticed. So all of us have our own special connections to this capstone. All of us have had our own interest to it. I know I personally have a very big interest in this capstone, as I'm going into the Colorado National Guard as well. So this is something super relevant to me and my future, as in the military. I did in the Colorado based military as well. And it's something that I hope to see a continuation of this project, not only through our program in years to follow, but in other JROTC programs as well, as we push this presentation out.
So my connections to the 10th Mountain Division are actually, they get really personal for me, as in before we even started the project, or right after we started the project, I found out that my mom's best friend's grandfather was actually in the 10th Mountain Division. And we have all been super close since I was little. So it was really cool to kind of see their history. And then I also have family that has lived up near Camp Hale. So it was cool to see and learn about what had happened around there and that type of stuff, when that's my family's history in one way or another. And I really hope to see other JROTC programs hopefully adopt our project and really spread the history and the legacy of the 10th Mountain Division within our state.
my own personal connection that I have with the 10th Mountain Division is I'm currently enlisted through the delayed entry program to the United States Army, and that's really the biggest connection I have with it, with the military. And some way I could use this as a lifelong use and comprehension of my traits is to be able to problem solve, and using this lifelong by being able to spread the history and just the overall image of the 10th Mountain Division and show people really how important it is to not only the state of Colorado, but the military's history in general.
My personal connection was one of my grandpa's friends was in the 10th Mountain Division, and my grandpa went skiing with him. He told me many stories about him and his buddy going skiing, stuff like that, and then he would just go on and talk about what it was like being in the 10th Mountain Division, how it impacts skiing and stuff like that, the resorts, places in Colorado, and yeah.
Thank you again so much for all of your time. If you guys have any questions or want to know anything else about the other traits or for us to elaborate on anything, please let us know. Thank you again for all of your time and your attention.
An extended thank from me. So
I have a question. So can somebody talk to me about what your plan was when you were going to do your third phase? I know that you said you were going to do demonstrations on rock climbing and rappelling. Were you personally going to be rappelling, or what was your plan for those demonstrations?
I can talk on that if that's all right. So the plan that we had for the demonstrations was through the 157th Infantry Division and through our mentor, Major Rich Pildingsrud. They would be conducting the demonstrations at Shelf Road, in which they were low-level rock climbing and rappelling demonstrations. And if we look back on our operation order, I can show you this as well. Through here, we have designated more of a layout as to what exactly that would be. So we had different, and that's something we worked on in detailing exactly what would happen. So we had our whole entire safety plan laid out. Our risk assessment was done, completed by Sergeant Bertrice and Chief Klein. We had transportation and equipment understood. And so we had for the rock climbing part, we were going to be doing a rappelling demonstration, two different rock climbing demonstrations, and then there was like a traverse where students would be crossing with the aid of ropes, and there were different like scrambling and hiking exercises as well that we would be doing.
So all the students in JROTC who go on this are participating in all of those demonstrations?
Right.
Awesome. Okay. And what are your plans? So I understand, and I applaud you all for continuing your project even in the midst of COVID and continuing to see it through. And so what is your plan to keep this going in ROTC and to get the people below you and coming behind you to keep this awesome opportunity available?
So I can answer that. We've already really tried to connect the battalion as closely as we can in with our project. The entire battalion is currently aware of everything that we're doing, especially the battalion staff, which is who really leads everything that we do in ROTC. And so they will then be carrying it on next year. And then as soon as it's applicable, they'll be helping guide the new field trip.
Okay, makes sense. What was the biggest challenge that you had in planning for phase 3? Because I know that you didn't get to it, but the planning, the details are in the planning, right? Like the hardest part is making sure you have everything you need to make it happen. What would you say was the biggest challenge you faced?
I think probably the biggest challenge in planning all of that was really making sure we had not only the solid dates, but making sure that the cadets were going to be ready for it. I mean, having at the time, I believe, was 93 cadets that we were going to be working with. So that's a lot of moving parts, and that's a big risk to take 93 kids and take them all rock climbing. And so really understanding that risk assessment and making sure that we had a stable safety plan in place for when that was supposed to happen. That was probably the biggest challenge, I think. Either that or in asking for the grant for the funding. That was a big challenge for the funding, and then we had our solution for that as well.
Awesome. Thank you. I don't have any further questions. I do want to tell you from my perspective, I just want to congratulate your team. I think you have done an outstanding job, and I really appreciate how organized you are and how you have laid it out in a way that is easy to understand and have done a really good job with your exhibits. That makes it really easy to go back and grade, and also to understand the purpose and progression of your project. So nice job. I'm really proud of all of you for your tenacity that you have shown in this entire situation.
Thank you.
Dave, do you have any questions or comments or anything? We're going to just keep rolling on this. And then, listen, at the end, just to prep everybody, cadets, you can exit the presentation. I'm going to keep Ms. Johnson and Mr. Little on the call so we can talk about evaluation subjects. And then for the four of you, I am going to set up another capstone meeting online where we can discuss peer evaluations, because as much as you'd like to think this is completed, it's not. We've got work to do. So I will send an invite out for that, and we'll get that done prior to leaving for Christmas break. Just wanted to give you a heads up. So Dave, do you have anything that you would like to discuss here?
I have some observations from my perspective. Good notes. I enjoyed your personal observations and your areas of interest relating to the 10th Mountain Division and to your visit at Camp Hale. I found that to be especially impressive and effective. So I give kudos to all of you for that and for having taken the time to include that in what you're doing. Those kinds of personal observations will make it much more effective for future generations to look at. The video use was outstanding. It was direct, it was clear. Obviously, if you had a greater opportunity to do the field exercise, I would have enjoyed seeing some video of that as well. So we have challenges for future classes. I am impressed with the entire program's endurance and tenacity. You folks have generated a willingness to stick with the project over and above the expectations that I had. And I was one of the people that voted to grant the funding for this program to the ROTC program. And I had questions about how it would work. And I must admit that I am impressed with what you've done. I still expect you to conduct this field exercise and show me some video of how it goes. 93 people doing rappelling is going to be an interesting challenge for all of you to participate in, but it's a noble and worthy occupation. Being involved in outdoor education will hurt none of you. It will advance your personal and military and recreational careers, and I am pleased to see that you get involved in this. The only suggestion that I would have is extremely minor. It would be to have included more information about Colorado ski areas and other aspects of the outdoor recreation industry that the 10th Mountain Division soldiers were involved in. That could have included things like the National Outdoor Leadership School, which was started and run by 10th Mountain soldiers. It could have mentioned national and international business opportunities, which would have included Nike, the tennis shoe folks, which was started by a 10th Mountain soldier based on the mountain boots that he used while he was training at Camp Hale. But those are still relevant, and your presentation, while it didn't include those things, was outstanding, and I give you kudos. Good job.
Thank you.
So guys, as your advisor, I just want to tell you, and it's like, a coach talking about their team, but I'm proud of you guys. You did an outstanding job today. This has been over a year in the making, and it's been a long road, and it turned out great. And I want to thank you guys for everything you've done. You guys are awesome. And I'll see you guys in the next couple of days, and we'll discuss the next steps. So with that, I'll go ahead and excuse the four of you. Thank you very much, guys. You did a great job. And I'll keep Ms. Johnson, Mr. Little, Chief Klein. I don't know if you're still on here, but if you are, you can. And yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow. All right.
Thank you.